All right, we're not going to spend a great deal of time on compound meter, but I do want to mention it and do a little bit of conducting with you to help you to understand meter a little bit better. Remember that the time signatures are the numbers that look like a fraction at the beginning of your piece of music, but the meter is that basic pulse that we feel in a piece of music, so that when it's duple meter, we're feeling how many beats in each measure? 2. When we hear 3 beats in each measure, what are we feeling? Triple. And when we feel that pulse of 4 in each measure, what meter are we feeling? Quadruple. That's correct. So I've written just some very common simple meters, the 2/4, so that you feel 2 beats per measure. 3/4, this is a simple meter, and a 4/4. Remember that it is simple because the beats within each measure, each beat can be represented by 2 other notes. All right. Let's look at one compound meter to start off with. I might give you another one or two, but this one is fairly simple and common. I've written the word compound, and I'm going to explain why it's compound. But let's talk about the time sign first, 6/8. The top number tells me that I'm going to hear 6 beats in a measure, or have 6 beats written in a measure. And that those 6 beats will be represented by what? 8th notes. So what I've done for you is I've written out 6 8th notes, because that's the definition of this time signature. 6 of these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the reason I used 8th notes is because the 8 is on the bottom. All right, but can you see some groups? I can see some groups that are maybe different than putting 2 together. I'm actually going to group these with 3s. So I'm just going to go ahead and use a beam. Pretend I erased the flags, or maybe I should. Let's erase them. Because I can use a beam, 3/8 notes, and 3/8 notes. So I've actually grouped my 8th notes into 2 groups of 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And when I do that in this time signature, what I really feel is the 2 groups of 3. And then those 3 notes in my thinking cap is now a dotted quarter note. Remember, the quarter note can be pictured with 2 8th notes, and the dot's the little guy that goes up next to this note and says, I'm half as big, or I get half as much as you. Well, that means he's the value of 1 more 8th note. So all together, the dotted quarter note shows me this picture. And this dotted quarter note shows me this picture. So what I can actually feel are the 2 dotted quarter notes. And there are how many of those? 2. So it sounds like this. I'm going to hit the board so that you'll hear that beat. And I'm going to count to 6, but I want you to hear where this comes. Are you ready? And listen. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm going to do it several times in a row. I'm just going to repeat it several times so you can feel that with me. Ready? And listen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Do you hear the 2 beats? I did. But did you hear me count to 6? You sure did. Now, that's what a compound meter is. It is groups of 2s, or it could be groups of 3s, or groups of 4. And usually you'll see some dotted notes that will represent those groups. So this is a compound meter, and because I hear 2, it's a compound duple. What if I changed it to 9/8? Do you see that I'd have to have one more set of 3? One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So how many more dotted quarters do I need? There are how many dotted quarters? 1, 2, 3. Over and over again. Let me do that. You can count it with me. Or perhaps you could clap the dotted quarter note with my pointer. And I'll count all the way to 9. Ready? Begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. When I hear the 3 beats that go along with these groups here, I'm in compound triple meter. Do you see how that works? Let me show you why it's important to understand the meter a little bit better. And hi, hope you can see me right here. If you are to conduct a piece of music, if you're the conductor, then you need to know how to take the time signature, whether it is simple or compound, and know how to use your hands to keep everybody else doing the correct fixed pulse of the piece of music. Remember that fixed pulse, those patterns over and over again, whether it's duple, 2 beats per measure, or triple, 3 beats per measure, or quadruple, 4 beats per measure, those fixed pulses, those repeated patterns, you use, if you're the conductor, your hand. Now, so to make sure you can see me in the small camera that I'm using today, I'm actually going to try to keep my hand up here in front of my face so that you can see how to conduct, which is not exactly where you use your hand when you conduct. You usually use it more between your eye level and maybe your chest, right in that area, or just a little lower than your chest. But today I'm going to try to keep my hand right here in front of my face so that you can see what shape your hand makes to do this conducting. Now, when I have 2 beats per measure, if I'm in duple, we start with our hand higher in the air, and we drop our hand, that's called the downbeat, and we come right back up. And it makes me feel like I'm doing maybe a backwards J, or the picture of a candy cane of some sort. And it's just a little bounce, and that little bounce pushes me right back up. So I have a downbeat, upbeat, down, up. Would you do that with me? 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and stop. All right. If I'm in 3/4 timing or any type of a triple meter, then my hand is going to make more of a triangle. So I start here and I drop and I'm going to my right and back up. So down to the right and back up, down to the right and back up. I can use my other hand maybe, and you can mirror me if you're not sure about thinking right hand, left hand. Down to the right, back up, down to the right and back up. So that's 3 beats. 1, 2, 3. Do it with me. 1, 2, 3, and stop. Now, if I'm in 4/4 timing, I'll try to do it with my left hand so you can mirror me. We're going down, that's beat 1, and then you're going to the left, back to the right, and up. It almost makes some kind of a numeral 4. Down, to the left, to the right, back up. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and stop. Now, when I'm in the compound rhythm, we don't want our hands to be really, really busy doing 9 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So do you see how many sets we have? 1, 2, 3. So which pattern, which conducting pattern could I use to do 3 sets? 1, 2, 3. I hope you said the one that looks like a triangle. Did you? All right. That's what we will use. So we would do the little triangle, and this is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and stop. Do you see how that works? Now, let's put this back on 6/8 timing. And let me draw my 6. What conducting pattern would we use for this one? We have 2 sets of 3 represented by the 2 dotted quarter notes. So this is a duple. It's compound because I have groups. So which I would use like the 2. Remember the one we first said, we start at the top, we drop, and back up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and stop. All right. So you have to have a good sense of your meters, your meter, that fixed pattern that you're going to conduct when you're the conductor. So mostly you'll work with your simple meters, but if you come across a number larger than 4, a 6 on top, a 9, a 12, then please group them in groups to see how you would conduct the piece. All right, have a great day. We'll see you next time.